What does it truly take to survive and ultimately thrive under the relentless spotlight of reality television, especially when your entire life, past and present, is just mercilessly put on blast for the world to scrutinize?
Yeah, it's intense.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your curiosity, a stack of sources, and we collaboratively unearth the most compelling insights, the ones that often lie just beneath the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're plunging into a story that has captivated so many. The recent Love Island Tell-All interview with Huda, featured on the Call Her Daddy YouTube channel.
Right, that interview is something.
It really was. This deep dive is tailor-made for you, the learner, who seeks to understand the intricate layers behind public perception and to truly grasp the often unseen narratives that profoundly shape a person's journey.
Absolutely. And our mission for this deep dive is to methodically unpack Huda's incredibly raw and, well, unfiltered journey. We'll trace her path from a childhood marked by immense challenges, hidden traumas, through the intense scrutiny and emotional crucible of Love Island, and finally to her post-Villa reflections. Our core focus will be examining precisely how her past experiences have profoundly influenced her present reactions, her relationship dynamics, and, her evolving sense of self.
We want to explore the why behind the headlines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dissecting the complex emotional and social dynamics she navigated, and ultimately to discover the surprising wellspring of strength she found in embracing her vulnerability. So let's begin to unpick these crucial early influences.
That mission to unpack the why truly begins at the very root, doesn't it? Because to truly understand Huda, we absolutely have to rewind, peeling back the layers to her formative years. It's here, in these foundational moments, that the bedrock of her remarkable resilience and maybe some of her later struggles was undeniably laid. Huda comes from remarkably humble beginnings, a testament to sheer willpower, really.
Yeah, you get that sense strongly.
Her parents were immigrants to America, arriving with little more than hope and grit, working tirelessly to gain their citizenship. They raised 5 children, including Huda, without the luxury of any external family support. No grandparents nearby, no aunts or uncles to lean on.
Imagine that pressure.
Seriously, building an entire life from scratch in a new country, navigating unfamiliar systems, all while raising a family with absolutely no safety net to catch them. Huda vividly recalls a childhood that was far from what many might consider privileged. She paints a picture of days spent, playing with sticks outside, a stark contrast to kids today.
Right, very different.
And emphasizes that she and her siblings didn't even have phones until they were 16 or 17 years old, which directly counters any narrative that might try to paint her as some kind of privileged child.
No, definitely not. It sounds like it was a daily grind, pure grit from day one.
Exactly. But what's crucial to understand here is that amidst that incredible resilience and the challenging external circumstances, there was a profound, deeply scarring shadow.
The abuse.
Yes. Huda shared a truly heartbreaking and unsettling account of her father being extremely abusive towards her mother and siblings. She recounts this vivid, disturbing memory. Hearing her father beating the shit out of my mom in the room, the sounds echoing through their home.
It's chilling to even hear her describe it.
She remembers seeing her mother's broken glass as such a small, shattered detail, but it speaks volumes, and him then snatching her mother's head back and slamming the door shut, violently.
And she indicated this wasn't just a one-off incident, right?
No.
It was a pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A devastating and consistent pattern.
Experiencing domestic violence as a child, particularly as the youngest of 5, well, it can profoundly shape a person's perceptions of relationships. It teaches you that safety can be fleeting, that love might be intertwined with pain or control.
Right.
And that deeply impacts your sense of self-worth, how you approach trust later on. It's like an early traumatic blueprint for how relationships work.
Yeah, and it's almost impossible to grasp how a young child processes that kind of chronic terror. Her mother, though, in an astonishing act of courage, made the impossible decision to leave that dangerous situation when Huda was just in 4th grade.
An incredible act of protection.
Absolutely. Imagine packing up 5 kids, no financial security, moving them into a cramped 2-bed, 1-bath apartment. Huda talks about the reality. No washer or dryer. Her mother hand-washing clothes for 5 kids.
Wow.
And her mother slept on an outdoor futon, exposed to the elements, just so her children could have proper beds inside. It wasn't comfortable. It was a desperate, gritty escape. Witnessing that selflessness must have left a huge mark.
Definitely. And even amidst that hardship, the older sister creating coping mechanisms like the dinosaur trail and playing in the creek.
Yeah.
It shows that resilience, that attempt to find joy.
It really does. Okay, let's unpack this. How did being the youngest in such an environment with all that chaos impact her personal development specifically?
Well, being the youngest in a volatile household often means developing unique, sometimes complex, coping mechanisms. Huda noted she was a lot more persuasive as a younger child.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a skill likely honed by learning to placate her father or subtly gain favors, maybe even if it meant enduring hurt. She described him using gifts or promises like, here's this, or I'll take you here, right after doing something hurtful.
Oh, God.
That disturbing pattern, affection or reward following abuse, aligns precisely with what she later recognized as elements of grooming.
Can you explain grooming a bit more for our listeners?
Sure. Grooming is essentially a calculated manipulation. An abuser tries to gain trust and control over someone vulnerable, often a child. They gradually normalize unhealthy or abusive behaviors by mixing them with kindness, gifts, intense affection, creating this deep emotional dependency.
So it completely blurs the lines.
Exactly. It blurs the lines between love, control, and pain. This early exposure embedded a vulnerability to similar patterns in her adult relationships, making it so much harder to tell genuine affection from manipulation. It fundamentally warped her understanding of healthy love.
And the heartbreaking truth continues because Huda also revealed the deeper, more personal impact. She shared the devastating revelation of her father's abuse towards her specifically when she was alone with him.
Yeah, that was incredibly difficult to hear.
And it led her to stop all communication with him at age 16. But what's truly gut-wrenching is the family's disbelief. She said even now they struggle to believe her account. She just said, I just accepted that I know what was going on.
The isolation of that, carrying that truth without validation for the people closest to you, it's immense.
Unimaginable. She even mentioned listening to podcasts, hearing other stories, helped her identify the grooming elements in her own experience. Think about how extraordinarily difficult that must be, to carry that weight, especially when your family doesn't believe you. What does that do to your sense of trust, your self-validation?
It fractures trust completely, not just in others, but in your own judgment. And this deep trauma, the instability at home, it inevitably spilled over into her school life. That became a painful microcosm of later struggles.
Yeah, she described this consistent pattern of bullying throughout school. She said she was unapologetically myself.
Which you'd think would be positive.
Right. But she said her authentic self didn't resonate with a lot of people, leading to constant harassment, exclusion, verbal attacks, this relentless external judgment, being ostracized for just being her. It started tying her sense of validation to others' cruel perceptions, not her own inner worth.
A daily assault on her identity.
And the impact was severe. In middle school, it pushed her to suicidal thoughts, just not wanting to live anymore.
God.
She talked about this one girl, a model, who would constantly rub in Huda's own dreams of modeling, telling her she wasn't pretty enough or skinny enough.
That's just cruel, targeted cruelty.
And this led to Huda developing bulimia, a secret eating disorder. She confessed to stopping eating for days and even chewing food and spitting it into a trash can just to taste it.
And keeping that hidden from family. The psychological toll is immense. The body image issues, the low self-esteem, all battled internally, silently.
It's agonizing. And on top of all that, she faced disturbing racial harassment, too.
Right, she mentioned that.
Detailed experiences like a football player physically grabbing her, pinning her against walls, being called a terrorist. Vile stuff.
Just awful, violent acts, not just words.
But in high school, she described a turning point, deciding to turn a new leaf, not be a victim anymore. She remembered shutting down a terrorist comment immediately, refusing to let it stand.
That's a huge step, finding her voice, refusing to be a target.
It really is, but the challenges kept piling on. Her mother, probably trying to protect her after everything, was incredibly strict.
Understandable, but tough for a teenager.
Totally. No sleepovers, no going out, begging just to go to prom. And this led to feeling left out by friends. They just say, oh, she can't even go anyway.
Pooch, more isolation.
Yeah, fueling that desire for inclusion, for belonging, which was already so heightened because of everything else.
And then social media enters the picture.
Yeah.
Getting a phone, Instagram, another layer of complexity.
Exactly. At first, it seemed positive. Posting singing videos, getting followers, a creative outlet. But then, the double-edged sword. School peers turning on her, calling her full of herself, cocky. So expressing confidence just brought more negativity.
It's that cruel paradox again. Seeking connection, finding judgment.
And all this frustration, this yearning for real connection, it culminated in this powerful moment at the lunch table.
Oh yeah, I remember her telling this story.
Her supposed friends were laughing. She didn't find it funny. She realized they just weren't her people. So she looked at them and said, honestly, I don't think any of you guys are really funny, and I really don't want to be friends with you guys, and just walked away.
Wow. That takes guts. A real act of self-liberation, defining her own circle.
Totally. Setting a boundary after years of letting others define her.
And her refuge through all this, the dressing room at school, her creative sanctuary.
Right. Practicing dance, became hip-hop captain, singing a cappella, musical theater. It was her inner world, a safe space where she could rely on her own strength.
It speaks volumes about her resilience, that self-reliance she had to build so young just to survive.
So here's where it gets really interesting for me. All these experiences, isolation, abuse, bullying, they force her to build this incredibly hard exterior just to cope. She even talked about internalizing the lesson of fuck him and doing what you want regardless.
A survival tactic.
Exactly. So the big question becomes, how does that heavily armored exterior translate into adult relationships, especially under the intense glare of public scrutiny like Love Island?
Well, that's the core of it, isn't it? Those walls built for protection inevitably become barriers to the very intimacy and safety she craves. It's a defense mechanism that often keeps out the good with the bad.
Creating this painful, almost self-fulfilling prophecy of isolation.
It creates a fascinating and often incredibly challenging dynamic, that hard exterior. It makes genuine intimacy so difficult. It leads to this complex push-pull, desperately longing for connection, safety, acceptance.
Yeah.
But also this reflexive need to protect oneself, sometimes aggressively, when perceived threats or vulnerabilities arise, especially when past traumas get re-triggered.
Which Love Island is almost perfectly designed to do.
Exactly. The constant scrutiny, the manufactured drama, it's a relentless test of those ingrained coping mechanisms.
Which brings us right to part 2, the Love Island crucible, where those patterns, the scars, the armor played out under that merciless magnifying glass. And the genesis of a toxic pattern really began with her first serious love.
Right after she moved out at 18.
Yeah, rebelling against the strict control, first time living alone. Meets her daughter's dad on Tinder, her very first serious relationship, diving in headfirst with no healthy models to guide her.
And she described the start as very lovey, very fast. Admitted she couldn't act fake, her affection escalated rapidly. That intensity, while maybe feeling like the Disney fairy tale she craved.
Big red flag, though.
Huge red flag, especially given her background. She explicitly said she had no good examples growing up of healthy relationships. That made her highly susceptible to love bombing.
Can you quickly define love bombing again?
Sure. It's that intense, overwhelming display of affection, compliments, attention right at the start, designed to create a powerful bond and dependency fast. It's not just gifts. It's the alarming speed of declaring deep feelings, constant communication, obsessive focus.
And for someone who's experienced emotional scarcity.
It feels incredibly validating and safe, taps right into that unmet need.
Yeah.
But the source material highlights, painfully, that her partner repeatedly cheated. That devastating Puerto Rico incident, tracking his location, getting DMs with photos of him in bed with someone else.
Horrific.
So this early experience, love bombing, infidelity, intense investment, no positive models, it set a really dangerous precedent for her understanding of love and trust.
And then the chaos escalated. She discovers she's pregnant after returning from Puerto Rico, takes a text at Walmart.
Yeah, her logic about returning the plan B shows the state of shock she was in.
Totally. Father's stunned, she's crying, calling her best friend, just plunged into this incredibly vulnerable position overnight.
And keeping the pregnancy secret for 3 to 4 months, not even knowing to go to the doctor, speaks volumes about her isolation then.
Right. Her extremely religious Muslim mother eventually figured it out. Mother's intuition, cravings, weight gain. Huda finally confessed, telling her mom, I did something bad.
And her mother's response.
Don't sin twice. That resonated deeply, solidified her decision to keep the baby. But imagine the internal conflict, religion, personal values, the challenging circumstances.
Immense conflict. And the challenges didn't stop there. The post-birth period sounded incredibly difficult.
Unimaginably hard. Her daughter had call-it crying constantly. Huda was a stay-at-home mom 24/7, no sleep, sacrificing her own basic needs like eating or showering just to avoid the crying.
While her partner
Refused to help. Night shifts, household tasks, prioritized video games, long showers over her pleas for help. She felt totally abandoned. Plus the financial strain doing Instacart with the baby in the car because they were so broke, giving him the money, still late on bills. A soul-crushing cycle.
that lack of support, the financial strain, it became the breaking point. When he left for deployment, leaving her with less than 30 days to move, find a new place, unpack, all alone.
Having never done it before, she said she felt like she was losing her mind.
So she packed his things into a storage unit, gave him 2 weeks to get them. A powerful, decisive act of self-preservation.
Absolutely crucial. So what does this all mean? She's 21, 22, young mother, finally chooses herself after crying every day. Hated her life, trying to figure out how to leave. It's a massive step, recognizing her worth. But those patterns, trauma, trust issues, susceptibility to love bombing, they're deeply ingrained, right?
Exactly. Choosing herself was essential groundwork, but it didn't magically erase the vulnerabilities or learned patterns. So at 24, she decides to go on a love island. Not a whim, a long-standing dream.
Encouraged by TikTok followers, applied traditionally, believed in manifestation, speaking it into existence, I'm going to be an OG, even with anxiety about making the lineup.
Shows her drive, her determination, despite the trauma she carried, willingness to dive into intense situations.
And day one in the villa, she couples up with Jeremiah, immediately felt his intense interest. That movie-like tripping incident, him catching her.
Instant physical connection.
And him not kissing the other girl in the challenge she sought positively, loyalty. But even then, red flags were there. Other islanders called it love bombing immediately. She started questioning, am I being love bombed? Is this not real?
That subconscious awareness, that flicker of suspicion from her past, even as it drew her in.
And this is where her past is so relevant, right? Someone with her background, that emotional scarcity.
Is almost magnetically drawn to intense, fast affection. Love bombing feels like that Disney fairy tale. Provides that fleeting but potent sense of safety, being seen, cherished sensations she desperately craved, taps right into that unmet need.
So early on, she makes that strategic decision. Wait to tell him about her daughter.
Her reasoning was powerful. In the real world, people see her immediately as mom, don't get to know Huda, the individual.
Wanted him to like her first. Avoid the mom fetishes.
Right. Online, people called it manipulation, leading him on. But she says she told him when she felt he genuinely liked her, admitted she was terrified, stuttered through it, told him he could leave.
And he reassured her, found it more attractive, which, while seeming positive,
only reinforced the love bombing cycle. Her internal conflict is palpable, wanting authentic connection versus this protective strategy born from past hurts. It was a defense mechanism for her.
And his jealousy started almost immediately. Day 2.
Yeah, during the blindfold challenge. Convinced she kissed someone. Her immediate reaction reassuring him, are you okay? I promise I'm not going to hurt you. Highlights that ingrained tendency to manage others' feelings, a protective habit from childhood.
It's incredible how fast this complex dynamic formed. And in hindsight, she realized she missed red flags.
Definitely. Like him constantly looking over her shoulder during conversations, monitoring her.
Controlling behavior.
And becoming intimidated by Pepe, then befriending him specifically when he found out Pepe didn't like her. A manipulative alliance to isolate her, make her feel dependent.
That's a classic power play.
So when she talks about wanting Jeremiah to be obsessed with her, how does that healthy desire for affection cross into problematic territory given her past? It's complex. That desire for obsession, intense focus, can stem from that deep, unmet need for validation and safety from childhood. It's not necessarily about controlling him, but a subconscious attempt to feel completely secure, seen, loved in a way she never was.
But that yearning can be easily misinterpreted or exploited.
Exactly. Or reciprocated in an unhealthy love-bombing way, creating that vicious cycle.
Which explains her intense desire to mark my territory with bombshells. Fear of everyone doubting us, putting up a bigger facade to counter the scrutiny, even if they weren't closed off.
Right. Admitting she misjudged Amaya initially, thinking Amaya was trying to annoy her, when it was her own fear surfacing. All about external perception, controlling the narrative because she felt so judged, like in school.
And the villager disapproval didn't help. None of the guys liked me, really. Islanders like Ace fixated on them, encouraging him to explore.
Creating immense external pressure. Ace even directly asked her, what happened to you in your past that made you move so quickly?
Which she said she respected because it was direct, unlike the gossip.
Right, but compounded by the fact Ace was liking her Instagram photos pre-villa. Adds another layer. Feels like a vendetta, being targeted.
Then the early physical intimacy with Jeremiah, which she now regrets, saying don't do that.
Marked a significant shift. Her painful observation that when guys end up getting what they want, it changes their character. Feeling discarded, like he got what he needed.
Leading her to feel needy, but not getting reciprocation. The unkept promises ping-pong cute dates. Her saying she's not giving wifey shit to men who don't fucking deserve it highlights that frustration.
That post-intimacy shift, her validation seeking increasing as his interest regressed. That was the first crack. And him confiding in Iris instead of her, she saw it as messy, another betrayal.
And this spiraled into the crash-out era. Communication breakdown, constant arguments, her spiraling, the pussy-ass bitch comment.
Came from intense frustration, feeling he kept winning, him not checking on her when she was crying after the recoupling. She admits she could have handled that a lot better.
Which raises that crucial question. How much was her genuine struggle with emotions and trauma, and how much was a reaction to that specific, high-pressure, televised environment?
Exactly. Constant surveillance, judgment, forced proximity, no escape. It would amplify any internal struggle.
And she points out the gendered double standards. Her crash-outs versus men punching walls, flipping furniture on reality TV. Hers were just caught on national television.
Implying others' behavior might not be aired. She insists Jeremiah hasn't taken accountability, painting his own narrative, while she clearly affirms, yes, she was love-bombed.
Explaining it's not just gifts, it's the intense affection, the constant looking, the casual, premature, I love you.
Which she admits initially reciprocating, chillingly shows how easily that pattern gets reinforced when you're desperate for love.
The public fallout was devastating. When America's vote split them up, Jeremiah got evicted. She had a full-blown panic attack. Felt she failed as a mother, fearing her daughter would have the most hated person in the world as a mom.
So heartbreaking. Shows her love for her daughter, her fear about her public image affecting her child. Even when Jeremiah was dumped, she cried, empathy, not malice.
But then watching him repeat the exact same love-bombing behaviors with Andrea, the textbook approach, the grand gestures, gave her that visceral ick.
A brutal confirmation of his patterns, painful validation for her.
So after all that intensity, she gets to Casa Amor. Hopes for a fresh start. She was hype as fuck for new options, wanting a genuine connection.
But nervous about how the Casa boys would see her, right? Worried they'd think she was crazy.
Yeah. But surprisingly, they found her cool as fuck, respected her willingness to explore with everyone, a chance for a fresh impression.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Huda, trying to apply lessons learned, navigates this new environment, only to face fresh challenges and misunderstandings. Her commitment to growth is there, but new dynamics test her differently.
She immediately connected with Chris at the fire pit. His laughing at her jokes, her sarcasm, felt validating, especially after being dismissed in the main villa.
A much-needed breath of fresh air. But then the misunderstanding with Shelley.
Right. Whose logic? Bring Chris back for both of them to explore. Actively trying not to be territorial anymore, a lesson from Jeremiah.
But it became a lost-in-translation breakdown. Huda feeling everyone kept talking about me and no one was talking to me. Classic Love Island miscommunication fueling drama.
And the central conflict with Chris. PDA. He wanted it public, she preferred private.
Her reasoning, rooted in past experience, the public judgment with Jeremiah, didn't want to fuel speculation again. A protective mechanism for her.
But Chris struggled to understand, saw it as lack of interest. And Huda had other reasons for pulling back too, right?
Definitely. His wandering eye, giving other girls cute nicknames, frequently telling her to shut up, deeply dismissive.
And not meeting her emotional needs privately, talking to other girls all day but not engaging with her meaningfully. That fueled her withdrawal.
A huge breach of trust was Chris openly discussing their intimacy as sex when she felt it was halfway. More importantly, he betrayed her explicit request to keep this between us.
Given her past with privacy violations, truths being disbelieved, massive red flag, echoed that childhood trauma of boundaries being ignored.
Then the bizarre pillow fight incident. Him throwing a hardest pillow at her nose post-nose job, causing pain.
And his casual, sorry, then cuddling his own pillow. Dismissive, lacking empathy, just another small slight chipping away at trust.
The Peaks and Pits dinner was revealing too. Him listing his Peaks basketball, seeing family without mentioning Huda, who was sitting right there.
Ouch. Confirmed her feeling he was losing feelings, pulling back, feeling unseen, unprioritized. Especially painful for her.
And the snuggling standoff, the viral moment, Huda trying to initiate snuggling, him acting stiff as a board, feigning sleep.
Her resorting to counting to 3 out of desperation, having tried everything. She admitted it wasn't correct, treating him like a child, but it shows her struggle to receive affection, validation.
Pushing for any response, reflecting that deep need to feel wanted.
And this cold, passive-aggressive behavior. Turns out it was a pattern, right?
Yeah, she found confirmation later. Chris's ex's TikTok alleged his track record of being cold and passive-aggressive, aligning perfectly with Huda's experience. External validation helped her process it.
And the final dinner breakup, making Love Island history first couple to break up during the finale, the symbolic water moment where he refused to carry her.
Yelling.
And Huda recognized his attempt to make her end it so he could play the victim. Shows her growing self-awareness, navigating manipulation. She resolutely decided, I'm not settling, after he put the decision entirely on her.
A powerful act of self-worth. Commitment to standing on business, staying real as shit, even with a dramatic public ending.
A huge turning point. And beyond the villa, she's engaged in remarkable self-reflection, accountability.
Absolutely. Openly identifying behavior she's working on. Talking over other people, being a little clingy early on, not getting too defensive, emphasizing her commitment to taking accountability.
That self-assessment is the crucial first step, right? Breaking the cycle, linking it to the childhood trauma.
Shows genuine maturity, desire for lasting change, transforming understanding of her past into actionable steps.
Which brings us back to that profound connection to childhood trauma. The why. Her excitement when someone shows intense love stems directly from never feeling safe as a child, a parent who abused their power and their love.
So love bombing, though unhealthy, offered that fleeting, intense feeling of safety and love she desperately craved, an unmet need.
Think about craving love and safety that deeply and how easily that desire can be manipulated, especially when your early life taught you love could come with pain, betrayal, control. A tragic why.
And her journey extends to mental health, handling public perception, clarifying she voluntarily sought psych sessions in the villa.
Not because she was deemed unstable, but because she needed a woman to talk to, couldn't confide in the other girls.
Demonstrates remarkable self-awareness, a proactive approach to well-being, even in that pressure cooker. Which raises the question, after all that scrutiny, betrayal, difficult relationships, her ability to identify patterns, seek connection, focus on inner peace, it reflects a powerful journey of growth.
She also addressed the exhausting online villain narrative, arguing reality TV crash-outs are often exaggerated. Her actions need context, the environment, her history.
Comparing it to past UK Love Island seasons, joking these motherfuckers are up for murder in comparison, puts her behavior in perspective against more extreme male outbursts.
Despite the hate, she states she's fine, really happy, focusing on genuine love, more important things like family, her daughter, not letting negativity consume her.
That ability to pivot, prioritize real-world relationships, inner peace, speaks volumes about her growth, highlighting her bond with Amaya. She sees me, truly so grateful.
And close friendships with Nick and Alondria, believing in second chances despite Nick's past votes against her.
That capacity for forgiveness, seeking authentic connection after everything. Powerful reflection of her journey toward inner peace, self-acceptance, healthier relationships. Shows the hard exterior softened enough for genuine connection.
So we've journeyed through Huda's raw, unfiltered story, uncovered how deep-seated childhood experiences abuse, searching for safety echoed in her Love Island relationships.
Saw her grappling with love bombing, public perception, and charting that courageous, often painful path toward self-awareness and accountability.
In a world where reality TV often creates these one-dimensional villains and heroes.
Right, for easy consumption.
Huda's complex story is a powerful reminder that every person carries an intricate, often painful history. Understanding the why behind their actions, the traumas, the unmet needs, is so much more illuminating, more compassionate than just judging the what based on fragmented perceptions.
Absolutely. So as you navigate the stories and personalities you encounter next in the media or your own life, what will you choose to seek out and truly understand rather than simply perceive and judge?